Well, if you joined us last night, you know we had Mr. Bobby Rush on. He is an internationally acclaimed rhythm and blues artist, and he lives right here among us in Mississippi. We've got the second part of our extended interview with him on tonight. That's coming up next. Now, all of our shows, including this show, will be archived at Nightique, NIGHTIQUE.com, and you can go there at any time and watch any of the programs. Sit back. Bobby Rush coming up next. Ingalls Shipbuilding is hiring electricians, structural welders, machinists, ship fitters, pipe fitters, and pipe welders in our Pascagoula, Mississippi site. Signing bonuses available for pipe welders only. Positions are union represented. Come build your career with Ingalls Shipbuilding. Go to www.huntingtoningalls.com/careers or call 888-935-1507. Well, Mr. Bobby Rush joins us.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here again.
Thank you for being back with us.
Yes.
You know, last night we were talking about some of the artists that you work with. There were about 4 or 5 artists.
Well, 6 artists, really. That was myself, which would make one of the artists that's a legend who living today to do it. Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, and B.B. King, then you got a Buddy Guy, you know. And you have some more guys, but not in that age category. Mm-hmm. You have the Al Green there in Memphis, but we talk about the age bracket. Well, you won't be in the age bracket. Certainly he'll be there for recognition, for record-wise, but not age-wise. Jerry Lee Lewis will be in the pocket. In fact, I just called his manager a couple of weeks ago, trying to get him to do some things for my birthday, for my 82nd birthday, and I don't know, so we can lie and lie to each other and say who the oldest. I get that mad. I said, now Jerry, you older than Dick. You older than Dick, you know. Dick Clark seemed to be the only one on the radio at the time. So that's what I teased him with. I said, man, you older than Dick Clark, man. And he laughed, all Bobby Rush, you older than I am. That's okay. But anyway, we talk about those things. And you got many guys around who was in during the time, but they're not longer with us anymore. But I was speaking about these 6 guys who still with us. God have blessed us to still be around doing what we do. And I'm so thankful and so blessed that I'm doing what I do. And I thank God every day that I'm helping us to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm enthused about what I'm doing.
You know, you mentioned Jerry Lee Lewis. So you guys are both from Louisiana.
Yeah.
He's from up there.
It's a whole lot
up here.
When we get together, man, it's a whole lot of shaking going on.
Tell us about the relationship with him through the years. Did y'all play on the same circuit sometimes?
We didn't play on the same circuit, but I remember in '63 or '4, roughly, I was in. He was on the show, but he hadn't gotten there yet. When I was opening the show for him and Elvis Presley, they had a place on the stage for me to work. Being a black guy in an all-white audience, they had it roped off for me a place for me to be. I don't know whether him had anything to do with it, he had knowledge of it, but I know someone told me that Elvis Presley went to the office. I went to somebody in the office. Someone had something to do with the festival. Said, now if you don't move this string down, I won't work. And I often tell that. I don't know who he told or what he said, but he took the string down for me, so I could walk all across the stage. But at the beginning, I had a short place I could work, and he took it down.
Was it Elvis?
It was Elvis did it, but I don't know whether Jerry Lee Lewis was aware of what he was doing. But I know he could have been. But knowing Jerry Lee Lewis, if he knew about it, he would have did it.
You know, when you look at Elvis, I mean, you know, Elvis being, you know, as successful as he's been, when you look at his career, the beginnings of his career, you know, they were pointing to Elvis and saying, well, he's acting like a black man up there.
No, but
he was dancing, he was singing, he was doing something.
But I often defend that because I know him well enough to know he was just being Elvis Presley.
Right.
Now he took advantage of it. You know, the moving his leg and shaking his hip. He took advantage of it. But I often say, if it wasn't for Elvis Presley, me, James Brown, a lot of it wouldn't do what we're doing. Because we let him do it, they could do it. Then the next guy came along with Tom Jones. He could get by with it when we couldn't. So my thing was, if he can do it, I can. And I got a lot of gigs because of that.
He kind of broke down barriers.
He broke the barrier
without even realizing it.
But he wasn't trying to do what black people do. He just liked it, that kind of a thing.
Right.
Black people happen to do it.
Right.
You know.
Well, he was influenced by it.
He was influenced by it. By the music and the black people. He was influenced. So he was, come on, he was really Elvis, man. You know. You know, and
because otherwise you would have had a Pat Boone up there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Pat Boone was not going anywhere. I mean, he was what he was, but I mean, he wasn't Elvis.
He wasn't Elvis
because
he had the thing. He just had to be doing it in a way that you related through what he was doing because black people got to dance in the movement.
That's right. Right.
Come on.
Elvis he had it. I don't know, maybe because he was from the South and he was able to.
See, you can teach a man how to play a guitar. You can teach a man how to play most instrument, but you can't teach a man to do what Elvis did.
Yeah.
You got to be born to do that. See, our entertainer is born. A musician is made because he learned to play. You don't learn to be a superstar. You're born to be a star.
It was sort of in him.
God gift. That's you're born in him. You were born to be a star.
So whenever you had encounters with Elvis, what was your impression of him?
That I was in the house with a guy who was totally in control of himself.
Was it?
Yes. Nobody tell him what to do. You may suggest it. And he's the kind of guy will say, hey, what do you think about something like this if I do this? And knowing all the time, whatever he's made up to mind, he's just trying to get a second opinion. That's the kind of guy you are. His mind was made up to do what he's going to do anyway. What you think about this, Bobby Rush? But whatever that was, he was going to do it anyway. You can say, I don't like it, he's going to do it. You can say, I like it, you're going to do it. Self-made man. You know?
So you have good memories of encounters with him?
Yeah, I remember as a musician, but I didn't get to be friendly to him till after I got a record and get on the scene. But I always respect. It's almost like B.B. King. I've been knowing him pretty much all of my life, but I didn't get good friends with him until 40 years ago. Where it was different when Bobby Bland, that I knew him when we was teenagers and kind of grew up with him. With BB, I grew up with his music, but just had to know him till I got on the scene as a musician, as an entertainer.
When you played in Liverpool, the Beatles.
They was big then. We went to Harlem for the first time. We did Harlem and Liverpool, and we had 150,000 folks there. Got 150,000 people. I had never saw that kind of people in my life. I just couldn't visualize. You follow me? When I went on the stage the first time in Harlem, myself and Muddy Waters, they booed us. Booed both of us. Electrified. Because we were advertised that the boys from the U.S. You know what I'm talking about? And we didn't sound like the boy from the U.S. because we were electrified. They were looking for the acoustic stuff. And Muddy Water had the electric guitar. When he was the electric guitar, so did I. They didn't like that. They weren't expecting that. And now I can't do no wrong. Now, different day. First time I went to Harlem, they booed me. Because I was electrified. They wanted me to come and sounded like what they was told I was going to sound like. This black boy from Mississippi.
Oh, acoustic blues.
The white socks on, sitting down. I come with this colorful suit on. That wasn't what they were looking for from a black guy from Mississippi.
But that was sort of a second phase of blues when it became electrified, right?
Yeah. Well, it was a, you can call it second phase, but it just transparent into something else. It was a modification of it, of the blues.
And when it was happening, evidently you must have thought it was a good thing, right?
I thought it was a good thing, but they apparently didn't, because in their advertisement, not knowing that much about the U.S., they had it up there, the U.S. men's from Mississippi. When they say U.S. blues man, they looking for, oh baby, you follow me?
We had Scott Albert Johnson, the harmonica player, on the other day, and he mentioned a story about when the Beatles first came to America. When they were at Kennedy Airport, when they were interviewing him, they asked John Lennon. They said, "Well, what do you most want to see here in America?" He said, "I'd like to see Muddy Waters." And the interviewer said, "Well, where's that?" And so John Lennon said, "You see, that's the one problem about you Americans.
Yeah.
All of the great things that you guys have exported around the world, and you don't even know it." And so he tried to explain who Muddy Waters was, but they were so influenced by the blues. Okay, let's take a break, and we'll be right back.
Sure will.
Since 1849, Carter Jewelers has been a part of Jackson's rich history. Over 163 years later, we've not only survived, Carter Jewelers has flourished. From generation to generation, we've established a tradition of excellence. Our reputation is built on customer satisfaction, service, and trust. Every piece of jewelry is handpicked, so you know you're getting the best value.
Nobody says I do like we do at Carter Jewelers.
Come see us and be part of our history.
Ingalls Shipbuilding is hiring electricians, structural welders, machinists, ship fitters, pipe fitters, and pipe welders in our Pascagoula, Mississippi site. Signing bonuses available for pipe welders only. Positions are union represented. Come build your career with Ingalls Shipbuilding. Go to www.huntingtoningalls.com/careers or call 888-935-1507. Back with Bobby Rush here on Nightique. Bobby, you know, it's when we first did the show, we did in the first season.
Yeah.
Now we're into our second season. You know, when I looked at that show and I thought, you know, we had a lot of great musicians on the show, but you know, there are not many people who can stand in your shoes as being one of the original guys. It goes all the way back to the days, blues in Chicago, through the years, and in many records and so many, your perspective on things is deep in the music business.
Well,
and so that's why I'm so glad you came back with us again.
Thank you. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm glad to be here, because I want to say to you, thank you for what you have done. Thank you for what you're doing and what you plan to do, because people like you keep people like me alive and keep the public educated and updated on where I've been, where I am, where I'm planning to go, and where I wish I was. You've been so helpful to me. In this business, I have a lot of help, a lot of people who come by my rescue, regardless of all the things that didn't happen. I was on Tonight Show a few months ago. Dan Aykroyd, who was doing the James Brown movie, invited me on the show. And I want him to know that what he did for me, what he said about me, reached my heart more than anything that ever touched. I've been with Kenny Gamma, Leon Huff with Philly National Records. I'm trying to name a few people who meant so much to me. The Malaco Records, the Jane Bennett's, these kind of guys who meant so much to me in this business, recognizing who I am, where I stand, and what I was doing, and respected me in that way. Because they let me do what I felt I wanted to do. And what I did do turned out to be something that was good for me. If they hadn't given me a chance to do this, I would have never known what I could do. I'm not that smart, not genius. I just had a dream that I wanted to do what I'm doing. Someone told me after I was in the business about 20 years, Bobby Rush, you're going to make a lot of money doing what you're doing. My ears went up because I couldn't visualize I could make a lot of money doing what I would do for nothing, for free. Because I wasn't doing it for the money, I was doing it for the love of it.
Is that part of you think the secret of being a great artist is doing it because
For
of the
the
love, not because of the money?
Love it. And the money comes,
Money will come.
but I done it for the love of it.
Right.
Never thought I would be here talking to you today about a legendary kind of situation. I never dreamed of this. You know? I never dreamed if you want to call the top 5 black bluesmen in the world, that I'll be in the top 5. Probably in the top 3. I'm so happy. I'm so blessed. I'm so thankful. And there's so many young guys coming up, gonna be better, or just as good, but it ain't their time now. We're talking about now.
What is your advice to young artists who are coming up today?
Learn the business and be good at what you do and be humble about what you do and look in the mirror and tell the truth to yourself. You're either hot or you're cold, and lukewarm don't go. That's the facts. You either have it or you don't have it. Because ain't nothing win in closeness but horseshoes. The only time you can win getting close is in horseshoe. You got to be on or you off. You know? I know you can get your good looks can get you a lot of places. Being in the right place can get you a lot of places. But your talent, if you do that, and make you stay. You can get a hit record tomorrow and be up and down the next day. But your work ethic stay forever. You got to put time in it. Time in it. And I look at what you're doing as a TV host. You got to understand your show as a whole may not be this old, but what you're doing is old because you started from the newscast. You started from way back. And that takes time to get to where you are now. It took time to get to where I am now.
You know, I was reading something from Dick Cavett, a book he wrote about how he got started and what he was doing, and he said he had been a fan of Jack Parr, and so he knew Jack Parr. He had been a writer on the Jack Parr show, on Tonight Show, before Johnny Carson, and so when he got his own show, Jack Parr called him and said, I got some advice for you. He said, what is it? He said, whatever you do, don't interview people. Don't interview them. He said, well, what do you mean don't interview them? That's what I'm doing, interviewing. He said, well, what I mean is talk to them, and don't interview them because people want to hear. They want to feel engaged and have that person come out and be themselves and talk about things that that are not usually talked about. They don't want to be interviewed. What is this answer and what is that? They want to learn about the person. That's what he meant.
But you know what?
That's what his advice was.
You know what? See what I learned today, and I noticed that's what we talk. We just I'm not too proud to tell you that I didn't know that. I had never thought about it that way.
But then I think people will learn something. Like when we talked about the fact that in those days, maybe not so much today, but back in those days when you had that first big hit record,
That's right.
you were thinking that Of course, you wrote the record and you performed the record and all those things, but then you didn't get credit for some of those things,
right? And
and
then
so
you
the
pay
money
it
went to somebody else.
That's what it did.
And that was something that was happening a lot in the
A
business.
lot.
You know, and I don't know if a lot of folks know that that was so pervasive. You
Yes,
know,
yes,
it was
yes,
all over the place.
It was all over the place.
Like Little Richard, for example, who
Yeah.
has spoken about it publicly.
Who's bitter about the whole
Kind of bitter
thing.
about it, yeah. But like you said, you know, looking at what you said, I think is very insightful. Even if some of the money's taken, what they cannot take away
Your
is
name.
Little Richard or his name. You know.
I admit that a lot of things just did, all things was did, shouldn't have been done.
Right.
A lot of things that are going on now could be better. But from where it was to where it is, that is a difference.
Mm.
And we have to make good of what it is now. And try not to be so concerned about the thing that happened, what you missed out on, till you miss out on what's coming because you're so cared about what didn't happen.
Right.
You have to put it behind you.
Well, the groundbreaking that occurred through the years when, you know, you guys as originators came through, and it has evolved to a point today where the young artists, they've learned from those types of things, and maybe it doesn't happen like it used to, like that.
Well, but young artists, I think, learn from few people like myself, who's independent with my labor. I don't do everything I like to do. I do everything I think I can get away with doing, you know, and that gives me some freedom to do some things I want to do, and hopefully that people will watch me and they'll take it farther, because the younger guys who are more educated, they know more about what to do, know how to record. They got more a liberal way of promoting now, because when I came up, it was strictly radio. Now you don't have that much radio, the internet, and the phone, and this and that, how to get it out there. Now it's always hard because a lot of the download, they're not getting paid for them, but you got to find a way. These young people have to find a way to get it, you know.
It is a different world today.
It's a different world today. But I'm blessed I can do the acoustic stuff, I can do the band thing. Then I'm a downright stand-up comedian. You know, you can hear it in my song. I can just entertain. And that's a God-gifted thing. I'm not thanking God for it. I'm not bragging about it. I'm just thankful of it.
What do you, Bobby Rush, want to do in the next years ahead?
I want to get as popular as I can, make as much money as I can, so I can help someone who's less fortunate than I. It's not about me at this point. But I have to put myself in a shoe so I can be popular enough to have a voice. I want to be branded so I can have a voice. What do I want, or what do a man want is like, why do he want to get rich? Why he want to be famous? My personal thing to get famous and rich is so I can be able to help someone who's less fortunate than I. I want to do something. Dr. John and I had this record that we did, which is up for award, called Another Murder in New Orleans. I'm so into those kind of things because what I have to do, or you have to do, or people that are adult have to say, when they see a child doing what they shouldn't do, don't turn your head and say, oh, it's not my child, it's not my business. It is your business. It takes a village to raise a child. Not only just kids, because when you see an old lady, old man, they're children too. They're helpless. Something they can or cannot do for themselves. And then the people who are adult don't have the education background to do for themselves or know how to do, don't have the job to do for their children. And you just can't turn your back on that. You got to help. Because when it's another murder in New Orleans, that's anybody town you in, that's your New Orleans. Any situation you in, we must help. We must call the police. We must embrace the police. Regardless of all the things going on about the police, they have a job to do. And we shouldn't strike all the police by one person on the police force. But what do? And we got to get out of that strike. All police ain't bad. All people ain't bad. All black people ain't bad. All white people ain't bad. We got good and bad. We got sour apples in everything we do. We got to iron them out and next and go on. This life, you know. This show that I'm doing here, today is personal to me with you. And I'm hoping the best for you with the show, because I know if you got the show, that you bring the artists on and speak the issue that people want to hear and educate the people about people like me and others like me that people wants to hear and know.
Since 1849, Carter Jewelers has been a part of Jackson's rich history. Over 163 years later, we've not only survived, Carter Jewelers has flourished. From generation to generation, we've established a tradition of excellence. Our reputation is built on customer satisfaction, service, and trust. Every piece of jewelry is handpicked, so you know you're getting the best value.
Nobody says I do like we do at Carter Jewelers.
Come see us and be part of our history.
Well, you wonder why our Nightique.com website is getting hits from around the world, and there's a reason. That's the reason. Mr. Bobby Rush and other greats just like him here on Nightique. We'll see you next time on Nightique.